Hey, you guys, this is Bill Leverty of Firehouse, and you're listening to the Nothing Shocking podcast.
We're putting the band back together.
The numbers all go to 11.
I'm talking about bands that rock. Led Zeppelin. What about Sabbath? AC/DC. Motorhead.
Does that mean it's louder? Is it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it?
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
I get up off the ground and raise my head. Days like this, think I should be dead. One for Satan, two for me. Let's cheat the devil, it's fun, don't you agree?
Welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'm your co-host, Jeff Untied, and with me in Dog Bowl Studios is
Coach Nez.
You can find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Libsyn or any pod catchers. Like our Facebook page or follow us on Twitter at NoShockPod.
You can also find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Rock Rage Radio every Tuesday evening at 10 p.m. Central Time. Our sponsor is Ragged Records in beautiful downtown Rock Island, Illinois, soon to be coming back to beautiful downtown Davenport, Iowa, across the Mississippi River. We would like to thank the Hong Kong Sleepover for letting us use their music for our intro and bumper ending. And tonight's guest is
Bill Leverty of Firehouse.
And he has a big solo project that he is
very excited about.
Yeah, he's been doing solo work for the last, 6 albums he has solo work for?
I think he's got 5 or 6.
6. So he's been doing this a long time. Last year's release, I believe, was it 2019, or did that come out early 2020?
It was 2020. It's been released in 2020. You can download it now and order it on his website.
He had recorded the material in 2019. That's how it worked out.
Yeah, it's called Divided We Fall.
Divided We Fall. Excellent album.
Yeah, it was really good. I was surprised because I've been a Firehouse fan, but I wasn't sure what to expect from his solo stuff, and I really liked it. It was good rocking material.
Man, and you want to talk about a shredder of a guitar player?
That's the first thing I thought of.
He should be put right up there with all the other great shredders out there.
Yeah.
So, before we get into this interview, music news. We have some big news for you, Nothing Shocking podcast listeners out there. Jeff Untied just got his first turntable.
Well, it's not exactly my first because I had one probably about 35 years ago, but it's my first one in 30 plus years.
His first turntable that truly counts.
Yeah, that's right. I think the other one was a Fisher Price. No, I'm just kidding.
It might have been. I had one of those.
But I have a picture of that actually. But I'm pretty excited. I got one of those new fancy Bluetooth ones. But no, I've been avoiding the whole vinyl thing for quite a while because I am an CD addict, and I've had that bug for since the late '80s when they came out.
Now you can be a vinyl addict with your CD addiction.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about it is that you can now listen to your Suicide Squad vinyl that you received last week.
That's what made me decide to break the ice and get back into it. When we interviewed Brad Sinsel, I really liked that, and that was the only way to get it was on vinyl. So I thought, this is the time. So I pulled the plug, bought it. And
have you listened to it?
I have not. That's I just opened the box tonight, and the first thing I listened to was David Lee Roth, Eat 'Em and Smile, my original 1986 copy. I don't remember if it was 1986. I might have to edit that, but it was. But anyways, I actually had that one from when I was a kid, and getting ready for tonight.
Yeah, very cool. Well, my big purchase of the week was, since it was been Christmas, I got a $25 gift card to Co-op Tapes and Records up there in Moline, Illinois, and I purchased. It cost me a little bit more than $25, but Alice in Chains Facelift on white vinyl. And it's a limited edition. There's not too many of them out there, but nice. I saw it, and it was a used copy that's never been played. It was just opened, so somebody observed the white vinyl, and they just put it back in their collection. Well, they decided that obviously they didn't want it. That's why it's up at Co-op. They traded it in. I saw it. They must have just got it in. I thought, that has to be mine. That has to be mine right there. So I purchased it. with my gift card, and I had to bring out some of my own money to afford it. But yeah, that was my big purchase.
Awesome. So, and then I had a little reminiscing going down through because I actually do have records. I just never owned a proper turntable to play on them.
Yeah.
And they're all back, ones I bought back before I started getting into CDs back in the 80s. But so I have, before Queen when I first got into Queen, I actually bought their vinyl records and listened to them at a friend's house because I didn't have I didn't have a turntable at the time. But yeah, I got all the original Queen on vinyl, and I have some solo. I got Roger Taylor's solo album on vinyl. I got that out today and looked at that. And what else do I got? I had. I broke out the David Lee Roth, Eat 'em and Smile, like I said, and then Motley Crue, Theater in Pain.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, so see, you already got a bunch of stuff to listen to. See, now you're going to be an addict towards the vinyl and the compact disc. So, Congratulations,
And
man.
I got a bunch of 7-inch singles from college when a couple bands that I bought them, went saw them live in show.
See, got plenty of stuff to listen to now as you're repainting your basement.
Yeah, that's what I broke that out today and set that up while we were working.
All right, well, enough of this talk about vinyl and compact disc. We have an interview with Bill Leverty to get to.
All right.
Good night.
Good night.
Hey, Eric, how you doing?
Hey, Bill. Welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'd like to introduce you to my co-host, Jeff Untied.
Hey, thanks for joining us tonight, Bill.
Hey, thanks a lot, Jeff and Eric. Thanks. Glad to be on the show, man.
So 2020 has been a very interesting year for us all, but it's been especially interesting for you with releasing an album during the pandemic. How's that all worked out for you?
Well, it's the pandemic's been awful.
Yeah.
But finishing the last song right when the pandemic kind of was just kicking in was kind of a saving grace because it gave me something to do. And I had released all these songs as singles before and put them out. But when I finished the last song, I listened to the mix of that one, and then I realized that the mixes of the other 9 weren't on par with the mix of that one. So I had to go back and remix all those songs. And for me, it takes me longer to mix a song than it does to record it because I don't really like the way anything sounds. and I've got to get it so that, there's just been so many of our forefathers in production world, the Mutt Langs and so forth, Bob Rocks, who have set the bar so high, and it's got to at least come close to being in the same ballpark. And I'm not sure I've ever achieved that, but those are the guys that I aspire to be able to be listened to. Like you can play one of their songs that they've done and then play one of my songs, and you don't have to adjust your bass and treble and everything in your stereo, and it'll sound somewhat like it belongs like on the same station. So that's one of the challenges. But one of the things about the pandemic, I think, aside from the fact that Firehouse wasn't able to play live, is that it did enable me to really put this music under a microscope, and I had time. And time in working on your recorded material is so valuable. So I'd say that's a couple of the main things.
What was the creative process like when it came to creating this album? How did it all work for you on this album in comparison to albums in the past, per se?
Well, this one all started off with the first song that I recorded for it, and I was just going to put it out as a single, which I did. It was called Ace Bandage. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a blues-based kind of rock and roll song, and that one, came to me in the shower. I have a little bit of carpal tunnel in my right wrist, and so I put these wrist braces on both wrists just to protect the left one too, and they're made by Ace, so they are Ace bandages. So I was taking these things off, and I thought Ace Bandage, and I thought, yeah, that sounds pretty funny, and so I start singing that, as I'm getting in the shower, getting out of the water to warm up, and Ace Bandage, and then Wrap Me Around Your Heart. And I thought, well, that's pretty funny. I should go with that and make a song out of that. So I got dressed and went downstairs to my wife and daughter, and I kind of sang them what I had, and then we all laughed about it. And I thought, well, if they're laughing and I'm laughing, then it's worth pursuing. So it wasn't a laughing like it's a joke. It's a laughing that it made us feel good, and it made us, smile, and it made us all kind of get together and, bond on that idea of the song. And so by putting out that as a single and getting a good reaction from my friends and family and fans, I thought, well, I should do another one. And it's kind of like what's happened before is, I get 2 or 3 done and I go, well, I might as well get 10 done and I can put out an album. Yeah. So putting one song out led to another one, led to another. It was a 6-year process. I didn't work on an idea unless I really felt like it was worth pursuing. And I had a lot of ideas that I shot down for one reason or another. Either lyrically it wasn't hit me, or either the melody wasn't, or the chord progression or whatever. But after I finished Divided We Fall, I felt like, okay, that's an album. So there it was. The last song was called Divided We Fall. Yeah. So that's kind of how that all happened. That one took a long time for me to write.
Oh, it's a great song.
Thank you.
I was going to ask you about the Heart Heals the Soul. I watched that video today on your website. It was pretty cool. I saw your wife Chris directed the video. Can you talk a little bit about that process of making
Sure, man.
the promotion?
Yeah, well, thank you. She's directed all of my videos.
Yeah, cool.
Oh, very talented.
She's just got an eye for that and the talent to put it all together. She edits them, and she does all the lighting and all the ideas for all that. And I don't really have to think about it at all, which is great, because every idea she comes up with, I've always felt was great for this. We never argue about it at all. It's she has this vision. I just let her go with it, and I look at the end result, and I'm like, wow, that you really, really, your idea. She takes these ideas and she is able to get them on video. Yeah. And she'll tell me a million times, you need to do that again, and hold your chin up and don't make that face, and that doesn't look good there or whatever. So I need that. And but The Heart Heals the Soul, it's a kind of a different song on the record, because it's more acoustic and more. I used a dobro on there too, and a mandolin, and some other instruments that are more acoustic, and it's brushes on the drums that Andre LaBelle played, and so a little bit softer of a song, but a little bit more Americana maybe, and finger picking style with the guitar. So finger style is what that song called for, I felt like. And lyrically, it's a song about if you have somebody that or and you care about, when they're going through a hard time, it's kind of like helping them through that hard time. So that's what that song's about.
Yeah, that's what I got. We're having that in my family. We got a little bit of cancer on my wife's side of the family, and so that song, I teared up at the end. I was watching at the very end. You have is that you and your daughter walking across the field, and then your wife on the far end?
Yeah, well, I'm really sorry to hear that about you. Thank you. It's just devastating and disease, and I'm hoping that they come out of that well. But so my daughter's in there, and I'm walking hand in hand with her up a hill in a field, and then we meet my wife at the top.
Yeah, it was pretty
and
cool.
It was a beautiful location in the country here in Virginia, and a place that we really love, and that was a perfect location for it. So my wife put all that together. I just can't thank her enough for the ideas that she had, and she's just really gifted with that. Where I have nothing when it comes to putting these songs to a video. I'm like, I don't know what it's going to look like, and she can see it in her head before she shoots it.
That's fantastic. Cool. Going back to you had the 6-year gap between albums, between Drive and Divided We Fall. I know you said that you were in no hurry to have the album released, but with sales, tangible sales, being what they are in the industry right now, does it kind of give you that luxury of when you're wanting to put out an album, you can just kind of do it whenever you feel like it? There's nothing barking down your throat that's saying, "Hey, you got to get this done." How does it work out for you when it comes to releasing your solo work?
Well, I love it because I don't have a boss. To me, the fans are my boss, and the fans are going to let me know if they like it or not because they're going to buy it, and if they don't like it, they're not going to buy it. And but ultimately, I got to like it. So I'm kind of like my biggest boss in that if I don't like it, I'm not going to put it on there. So there's some duality there, but as far as having no pressure and the luxury of time, it was great because I didn't have to listen to anybody, and all the players that I brought in to work on the album all listened to what I kind of envisioned, and I gave them license to do whatever you feel that is going to make you happy to make it sound like you playing that instrument on this song. And they did, and they all knocked it out of the park, man. I tell you, they all brought their A games and made the songs their very best, I feel.
Oh, fantastic.
Cool. Now, you had Michael Foster from Firehouse on drums. Who else did you have playing with you on your album?
Yes, so Michael played on, I think, 7 of the songs, and Andre LaBelle played drums on 3 of the songs.
Okay. And
then Keith Horn, who is a amazing bass player. He played with Peter Frampton, and he played with Trisha Yearwood, and his last gig, national gig, was Luke Bryan.
Oh, wow.
So he's an A-list Nashville bass player. But he's also really well versed in funk and in fusion and I mean everything. But he lives here in Virginia, so he played on 7 of them as well. He was gone for the other 3 when I finished them, so I wasn't able to have him on the other 3. Otherwise, I would have. But he played bass on the other, and I did the other instruments and the vocals.
Cool.
How do you compare and contrast your writing process of your solo work opposed to writing music for Firehouse? How does that work out for you? Is it similar, or does the style change drastically for you?
I think it's it's different in that with Firehouse, it's more of a team effort, more of a partnership on most of the songs. CJ and I worked on writing them together. With these, I wrote them all, and it's slower, I think, for me when I work myself because I just don't settle on anything very quickly. I didn't bounce them off anybody else. I worked alone in my free time. So there was no like, hey, I'm going to go down there at noon and I'm going to work till 9 o'clock and I'm going to come out with something. Whereas I think when you work with other people, you have a limited time window of, we're going to get together, we're going to write, we're going to, work on that for, 3 days or whatever and see what comes out. With this, it was more slow because I wasn't really under any pressure. And so that may have made it take longer. The other thing that made it take longer is that Firehouse does 57 shows last year.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And 55 the year before. And so those shows that we do, which are all fly dates, it takes a lot of time to go out and fly out to do one show because we don't often fly in the day of show. And you're getting up at 3:30 a.m. or whatever and playing that night, and maybe you fly to another place the next morning and getting up at 3 o'clock and then playing and then flying home, and then you need a few days to recover. So it's not much sleep. So you come home and you're not really anxious to go back to work. You want to sleep some more because you haven't slept in 4 days. But so that made it kind of difficult as well. But I think I was involved in mixing some other projects for some artists. I recorded some albums here for other artists and produced some people and played guitars on some other tracks for people. And those kind of things I would give priority to, and put my stuff on the back burner. And if I didn't have a great idea to work on, something I didn't feel was strong enough to work on, I didn't go in and try to force it. I just waited for the ideas to come. And the hardest part of those ideas was the subject matter of what to write about. Once I had the title or the hook or the what I'm going to write about, that's kind of the equivalent of breaking the back of the song, and then it's kind of easier to get going. But until you really have something to sing about, it's really hard to write a song. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, so I'm fairly new to your solo work, so I was happy or excited to get to talk to you tonight. So you've had 5 albums so far, starting with Wanderlust in 2004, and then Southern Exposure in 2007. I was going to ask you about Deep South. That one was from 2009. It was kind of a covers album of sorts, right? Those are older tunes.
Yeah, it is cover tunes. Most of them, I would say 8 of the 10, were written in the late 1800s or early 1900s. In the Restoration era, they are songs that are, most of them originated in the Deep South. So they're railroad songs, and they're Western songs. They're spiritual songs, gospel influence kind of songs, and that music from that era, of that genre from that era, because there was a lot of other music that I call parade music that came out of that era that just didn't really fit what I could really pull off and that I really had a passion for. But it started off with my brother suggesting a song, and I went for it, and I had a fun time doing it and researching it and kind of listening to how it was originally written and imagining how I felt that it would feel back then, and then putting my style to it. And some of the songs I kept more traditional, and some of them I rocked up a little bit more, but for the most part I kept them kind of, I dusted off my old, my uncle gave me his old 1929 banjo, and I played that on a song, and mandolin and dobro and a lot of acoustic guitars, and there's more Telecaster sounding guitars. I got a Tele that I played on a lot of the songs, and a Strat, and so older sounding guitars. There were still some fatter guitars on there, but a lot of the stuff was not, and it was fun to do something that I hadn't done. I accepted it as a challenge and tried to stretch a little bit, and I had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, definitely different than your normal sound. It was pretty cool.
You have the a library of solo work now, I would say, to your credit. And was becoming a solo artist always the primary goal for you, or did it just kind of happen by chance? How did this evolve for you? Because, like I said, Firehouse being such an established band as it is, were you always just kind of looking for something else?
No, I love Firehouse, and I think I can do just about everything with Firehouse that I really ever wanted to do. But there were always like 10% more that I kind of wanted to do that maybe didn't fit Firehouse, and that's kind of what started. This is my first solo record was maybe 5 songs that over the course of the years I'd presented to the band, and they got voted down for whatever reason. It was, we can only put 10 songs on the album, and this one didn't get voted in, so I just put it in my little pile, and
nice.
And it didn't fit for whatever reason. And I was cool with that. I mean, because maybe it was too bluesy or whatever. But then we had a little time off, and I have a studio, and I thought, well, let me try to sing this for real and see if I can make it sound acceptable. So I did, and I felt like it was cool, and so I finished that album, and now it's just when I have a song that I feel like I can sing well enough to pull off, then I want to do it, and which, you know, when you got C.J. Snare, lead singer for Firehouse, I mean, he can sing anything. He's probably one of the best lead singers out of this genre, and he still sings every note that he could sing back when he was in his 20s. Mm-hmm. And still has all the soul and all the vibe and everything. So, nice. You know, he can sing anything. I'm the one who can't. So if I come up with a song that I can sing, you know, I kind of feel like I should give it a shot and see what happens. And so that's kind of how it started, and cool. You know how it is.
You talked about you've worked as a producer. You know, obviously, your work as a solo artist. Your work in Firehouse. You're doing lessons online as well these days. You know, and I guess in this day and age of what the industry is doing to artists, you have to be kind of multitasking artist of all different type of ventures or endeavors. I guess where you're at in your life right now, what is the priority? Is Firehouse the number one priority for you right now, or how does it work?
Well, it is a bit of an anomaly now with this virus. My priority has always been, and thankfully it's this way with everybody in the band, is playing Firehouse live gigs. Nice. That's our priority. That's where our fans are, and they want to come to the shows and party with us, and that's what we want to do too. So that's the number one priority. The second priority is, it varies. I am cobbling together a job in what I do, and it varies because I just finished doing a guitar track for a guy who hired me to play on his record, and I can't say who it is right now, but I'm really excited about it. It's a great song, and I really love the way that everybody in that band is playing, and I'm really honored that they asked me to play on it. And so that was a priority for that moment. The next musical moment will be, who knows? I'm always practicing. You know, what I'm thinking about doing, and I'm just toying with the idea, is doing one of these virtual concerts where you get online, and it's kind of like a Facebook Live thing or whatever, and I'm just going to play my songs from the new album acoustically. And just, that would be fun to do, but I got a lot of rehearsing to do, and because these songs are different arrangements with an acoustic guitar. Most of them, other than The Heart Heals the Soul, aren't acoustic songs. They're all electric guitar, and the arrangement would have to be different, but the song is the same song. So, if it's a different vibe, that's cool. You just, I'll give the fans something different to hear that, they would have a unique experience in listening if they have time to tune into it. So that's what I'm toying with, an idea. I don't know if I'll do it or not, but our next Firehouse show is February 27th, and I've focused on that like a razor because, like a laser, but I didn't say razor. I'm focused on that like a laser because we haven't played, we were locked down in March. We played three shows since the middle of March, and we can't wait to get back and play again. It's just the best feeling in the world, and we appreciate it so much.
Yeah, I saw that was in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah, man.
On your website. And then after that, it looks like in April, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Heck yeah, buddy.
Nice.
Two cities that we love to play. And, in those three shows that we've played since the lockdown, I can remember the last one vividly. It was just wonderful, and everybody in the band came in fully rehearsed and just so pumped with energy. And it was like riding a bicycle, and we were all just like overjoyed getting back on that bicycle, man. It was just awesome. So I can't wait for that. So that's the priority. But in the meantime, there are other things that I do, like you mentioned. I love giving guitar lessons, and I love doing studio work for other people as well as myself. But I always try to give other people who hire me the time priority, and that's been a lot of fun to work with other artists.
Oh, fantastic! I'm going to take you back to 2004 when you released Wonderlust. You had already been in Firehouse for a long period of time. It was like 15, 16 years, something like that at that time. I guess, what was the mood of your Firehouse bandmates when you decided to create your own solo project? What was the response from them? Was it pretty positive?
Everybody was cool. I mean, nobody cared. I mean, Michael Foster played drums on it, and he just killed it. He came in and knocked all the songs out in one day. And, CJ, he was cool. And back then, Bruce Wabel was our bass player, and he played on it. And, everybody was totally cool with it. I mean, I didn't cancel any shows. I didn't go out and try to do a solo tour. I didn't try to do anything. It was just a recording project with some songs that I had that I wanted to put out. So nobody cared, and everybody liked it. And then everybody, I remember we were riding to a show and we were talking about it, and everybody was talking about which song they liked the most, and it was really nice. I felt like it was a really positive reaction from everybody, and everybody was encouraging.
Fantastic. All right, I got two more questions for you. I don't know about Jeff. Sure. Jeff, how many do you have?
Probably one or two.
Okay. So here's one
Take
of
your
my
time, man.
In 2012, you became CR Alsip Guitars' first endorsee. How did you get involved with the prototyping process of guitars, and are you still associated with them to this day?
Yes, and I love their guitars. That was a wonderful time. I was asked to do a guitar clinic by a guy who owned a music store in Kansas. And I'd met him at the show where we were opening up for Sammy Hagar. And he was back there, and he had a music store. And I said, man, I would love to. I, as a matter of fact, I just put out an instrumental record called Southern Exposure, and I can play some of those songs, and I can come out there, and I'd love to. And he felt like it'd be cool for his store, and I could play through one of his 5150. I think it was the Fender 5153 amp that he had. He just had, so I played through that, and it was a wonderful experience playing that clinic and answering some questions and stuff. And then he said, I'm thinking about building guitars. I've been a guitar repair guy for, I guess he'd been doing it for almost 20 years. And he said, I've basically built every guitar that's ever been made by the main manufacturers because they've come into the shop and needed to be, have a new headstock put on, or have a new fretboard put on, or be rewired, or whatever. So he's like, I know how to do it, but I've got some designs in my mind, and would you be interested in checking one out? I said, man, I'd love to. And so I didn't hear from him for about a year. And then he said, hey, remember when you mentioned that you might be interested in, trying out one of my guitars? And I said, yeah, oh yeah. He said, well, I made one, and I want you to try it out. And I said, well, I'd love to. Send it to me. And he sent it to me, and I opened up the case, and my jaw dropped. It was just so beautiful. So I was like, well, let's see how it plays. And I played the thing without even plugging it in. I listened to it and played it, and it just sounded great, and it played like butter. So I was like, man, this is great. I plugged it in, and it just sounded huge. And then, you know, if you put it on, you turn the volume down and change the pickup selector, it sounded so beautiful and chimey and clean, and it was exactly what I love. So I called him up and I said, man, you know, 10 out of 10, you know, and he goes, well, I want to make one for you. And I said, well, I'd love one. So we talked about it, and it's his design. It's his thing. We talked about the pickups that I use, but he talked me into, with his wood combination, trying some of his suggestions, and everything he suggested was great. So I've been with him ever since. Cool. And as a matter of fact, I'm looking at his latest one he made for me, which is named Howley, which is a koa top and a neck through body, Purple Heart, maple neck, and it's just a wonderful guitar, and it's just got so many different sounds that you can get out of this guitar. Stays in perfect tune, and you know, it's like an ideal guitar for me. And I've played every show. I fly out with lately. I've been flying out with one guitar, but I do have a case now that'll hold two. So I've been adding another one of his in there. But I play one guitar all night, and it just sounds great for everything. So yeah, nice. I can't say enough about CR Alsip Guitars. And that guy who owned that music store who asked me to do that clinic is named Jake Willoughby, and he's the guy who runs the company. He's the man.
Fantastic. Nice. Go ahead, Jeff.
That was one of the questions I had, was the Lucky 13. Is it that the guitar that you helped, the first one?
Yeah, so, you know, he made that guitar, designed the body and everything, and then he said, I'm going to send it to this guy named Mike Learn to paint it for you. And I said, okay. He goes, well, what do you want on there? I said, whatever Mike Learn puts on a guitar is going to be super cool, because the guy is a world-class artist, and I mean, he can paint anything, and he's also brilliant at painting cars and motorcycles and guitars, and he's a great guitar player too, and he builds guitars. And so I said, whatever he wants to paint on there, I said, just surprise me. I know I'm going to love it. I don't really have any idea for it. And Mike Learn called me up and he said, so, you know, what are you thinking? I said, man, I don't know. I just give you full artistic license to do whatever you want. He goes, well, what's your favorite number? I said, well, it would be 13, because my mom was born on a Friday the 13th, and the house that I grew up living in, the address was 13, and that was the first house that I ever picked up a guitar and played. So, cool. and cool. One time I entered a lottery, or kind of a drawing at a bank, and my ticket number was 13, and I won a ham. So I'm like, that's my lucky number. Yeah. So that was funny. Yeah. So 13, and so he sent me that guitar, and I was like, wow, that is so badass, you know. So it was perfect, and it was right before Black Sabbath put out their album called 13, and right before a couple of other 13 things happened. So I feel like he timed it just right with his, you know.
Absolutely.
Did you use that one in the video for the Bloom is Off the Rose?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
awesome. Sure did. That was the one, and that and Ace Bandage, and
nice.
I think I started using Howley shortly after that. I'm not sure I've got Howley in any. Oh, I've got Howley in Love Is Like a Song, I think is the one I'm using. That's what I'm using for that one.
Okay.
Cool.
So
yeah. Well, just doing.
Go
ahead.
Yeah, Jake's threatening to give me to not give me, but send me another guitar. I know it's, you know, he's been really kind of backed up with a lot of stuff, you know, guitars that he's building for other people, but I don't know what it'll be, but I know it'll be great. Everything he builds is great.
Yeah. Who would like another free guitar? Heck yeah. Good, Jeff.
Thanks, I was looking at on your bio, you talked about liking, you were a Virginia State diving champion at the age of 10. Yeah. That was pretty cool. And then you liked ice hockey, and then I was looking at I think it was off of Prime Time. You guys did a song called Door to Door. Is anybody in the band a NASCAR fan?
Well, Michael and I wrote that song, and Michael sang it. And he's a NASCAR aficionado.
Awesome.
Been to he's been watching NASCAR since Richard Petty was a driver, and so he was out. Richmond has had a track here forever, but we got a huge raceway here. But back in the I guess the early '70s or whatever, he was going to those races, and he knows a lot of the drivers and a lot of the crew guys, and
very cool.
So he came up with all those lines. I don't know what door to door meant, and I didn't know what the 5 wide meant, and all that stuff. So he was.
Yeah, that was cool.
He's a man on that one. That's. I appreciate you mentioning that song. That's a fun song to play, and it was a kind of a fun one to play live, and it gave Michael a chance to step up to the mic and sing, and he's just got a wonderful voice, and he's a phenomenal drummer, but he's also a phenomenal singer. And I remember when we auditioned him that he played so well, and then we heard him sing, and I was immediately looking at the other guys in the band going, man, we got to get this guy. Listen to that.
That's cool.
So he's a great singer. So, but yeah, man, I always look back at my diving as a kid and thinking that might have helped me learn how to deal with the butterflies in your stomach that you get before you get up and perform in front of people. But, it really didn't, because I still get really nervous before I go out and play. Right. But I can only imagine if I hadn't done the diving as a kid, how nervous I would be now to get up and play had I not done that. Because, when you get up there on a diving board and there's, a couple hundred people out there by the pool looking at you, and if you mess up, they're all going to see it. You can't hide from anybody. So that was, but the ice hockey role that my hockey career, as I say, that was, I really enjoyed hockey, and it's just such a great sport. But that's a team. Yeah. And if you mess up, you're kind of forgiven, because it's such a fast-moving sport. Even though you skate to the bench, and the guys on the bench will say, "Man, you let that guy skate around you," or your pass up the middle there got picked off by the dude, and he scored or whatever. But the diving, there was nowhere to hide. It wasn't like a team effort as much as with hockey. So. Yeah, it's good training, I think, as a kid to go through that stuff.
Yeah. Very cool. I have one last question for you. So this is kind of like a generalized question. A couple years ago, we had Steve Stevens on, and he was kind of talking to us about his guitar theory and what have you. And he had a really kind of interesting perspective of guitar playing. And I don't know if you have the same feeling or not, but it was kind of, because you would know Steve Stevens as being this outrageous guitar player for Billy Idol and his shredding techniques and skills or whatever. But he said he wakes up every morning and he looks at his guitar. And he looks at his guitar and he talks to his guitar and says, "What are you going to teach me today?" Now, you would never think by a guy that is so flamboyant and so out there as Steve Stevens is. That's a real humbling approach from a guy like that. What are those sentiments? Do you have those same types as what he comes across when he's explaining his guitar playing, I guess?
Absolutely, and that's such a brilliant way to put it. I mean, it's such a humbling craft, music, being a musician, and especially as a recording artist, because the power of rewind is so powerful. And when you rewind what you just played and it's slightly out of tune, you got to do it again. And with guitar, it's a glissando instrument, meaning that there's pitch bending involved, kind of like singing. So if it's slightly bent, a string is slightly bent, then it's out of tune. If you're a little bit out of time, it just shows, because these guitars have to be up in the mix. It's not like other genres of music where the guitar is kind of buried in there a little bit. The rhythm has to be in time. And then to come up with something fresh is so challenging. And Stevens has come up with some of the most fresh, remarkable stuff. That guy innovated so much, and I think it's so cool that you mentioned him, because he was a pioneer, still is a pioneer in making the guitar do something that they didn't think it could ever do. And he also could do something that was perfect for the song. So he wasn't always trying to stretch things. He was also trying to make that guitar fit in to something in the best possible way. So I'm always looking at my guitar saying, hey, please make it easy on me today, because it's a really fun instrument to play. It's pretty easy to play, but it's so hard to play well. And I want to play well, and it requires a lot of practice and a lot of work. And I'm always a student. I will never be more than just a student, although I'm happy to share the little bit of knowledge that I've learned, but I always practice and always have a lot of respect for the instrument and for music in general, because you never stop learning if you really work at trying to get better at this. And there is nobody who is perfect at it, with the exception. I mean, I even say that there's nobody that's perfect at it. I mean, there are a lot of my heroes out there that are phenomenal, but even they will tell you that they're not perfect, and they have to practice. So that's the thing. You got to practice. There's no easy way around it. And if you want to get better, it takes a lot of practice. That first year of playing was hard, but the more years you get under your belt and the more you kind of know, the harder it is to get better, I find. So you really have to maintain a level of playing with practice. If you don't practice, that level where you are or were gradually diminishes, and you get worse. It's like gravity is pushing you down, and the only thing that's going to lift you up is practice. So I have to practice all the time. I practice a couple hours every day at least. And when I was younger, I'd practice six hours was nothing.
Wow.
Cool.
Wow.
Nice.
Well, we've come to the end of all of our questions that we had for you this evening. Before we let you go tonight, is there anything that you would like to promote or plug that we did not cover?
Excuse me. Well, the only thing I could plug and or promote are the fans that have helped keep our genre going over this many decades. Firehouse has been around for 30 years, and we are forever indebted to our fans. But this genre started, I don't know, a decade before that, maybe 15 years before that. If you think of Eddie Van Halen, who started it. That first Van Halen record was sort of the beginning of the big arena rock band. And so I just thank the fans for gravitating towards this style of music, and then sticking through the artists that have worked hard to make new music and worked hard to try to keep a career going in this very difficult business. And we owe it all to them. And so that's who I want to give a plug out to, is the fans. So thank you so much.
Oh, fantastic. Well, this is how it's going to work. We have a couple of episodes that we have to release before yours, and then Jeff, our editing wizard over there, will get it all put together between these drop phone calls.
And the Jeff the Wiz. That's right.
Absolutely. And then when it's all edited and it's ready to go, I will email you the link, so you'll be the first one to receive it. And then if you could share it anywhere you could share it online, that'd be fantastic.
Sure, man. I'd love to.
Well, Bill, it's been a pleasure.
It's been a lot of fun.
You have been a great talk, great interview, great storyteller.
Hope to see you on the road someday.
All right, buddy.
All right, take care.
Thanks again, and I'll share it when you give me the email.
Absolutely. Have a good night.
Right, have a great night, you guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
See ya. Bye-bye.
If they ever take from